Yeah, it does. All right, so guys, if you could please, on page 17 and 18, that's what we did the other day, but we're going to add two things here. So we're going to add on page 19, we're going to add the notes for ACT proportion. So we're going to add some notes right now. And then on page 20, I can. Yeah, that'll be given later. Okay, because that was last class. So proportion applications worksheet. So these are our notes for today. And we're also going to be doing a little worksheet and getting it into our notebook on page 20. All right? Everybody have that down? Okay. Good. All right, so what we want to do now is we want to turn to page 19 in our notebook. If you can't see, you can move closer. Okay. All right, so proportion examples. Now, we've already done some of these guys already. So our basic type of proportion we've already done. So we're going to write an example down. So here we go. Try and write quickly. Trail mix has raisins and M&Ms. The ratio is 3:2. If I have 7 ounces of raisins, how many ounces of M&Ms? So we've actually done problems like this already. So what we talked about is we talked about how you're going to compare the two things. We've got raisins and we've got M&Ms. And those raisins and M&Ms are in the ratio, so it has to go in the same order. So they said raisins first, and then they said M&Ms. So the ratio is 3:2. So we know that that ratio is going to be 3/2. If I have 7 ounces of raisins, how many ounces of the M&Ms do I have? That's a question that we're going to try and answer. So it says, if I have 7 ounces, that's OZ, that stands for ounces, of raisins, how many ounces of M&Ms? All right, so the way we do this is we've already decided, well, raisins is the number on top and M&Ms is the number on the bottom. So we're going to do 7 over, and we don't know the number of M&Ms ounces, so we're going to put X. We already did problems like this. This should look familiar to you guys, okay? We're going to not do these today. This is just our basic review. That's why I wrote the word basic up here, because this is just a review of what we've done. We're actually going to do harder ones today, okay? So we're going to cross multiply. And we get 3x equals 7 times 2, which is 14. Then we divide both sides by 3. And we get x equals 14 divided by 3. Get your notebook out. Doing notes on page 19. So we're doing 14 divided by 3. That's 4.6. We'll just round it to 4.7. So 4.7 ounces of M&Ms. All right, so now we're going to do some more sophisticated ones, okay? But in order to do that, I need to introduce a vocabulary word to you guys, 2 words. The 2 words are about angles. You maybe have seen these words before. They're supplementary angles. And supplementary angles are 2 angles that add to 180. So supplementary angles are 2 angles that add to 180 degrees. There's also another kind of angle called complementary angles. And those are 2 angles that add to 90. So that's what complementary angles are. And so then I want to give you guys an example of a ratio problem that uses this information. So here's an example. So here we go. 2 supplementary angles are in the ratio 13 to 5. What are the angles? So guys, I want you to compare this problem. This problem is different than the one that we did before, right? Because the one that we did before talked about a specific number of M&Ms and raisins. And this one, we're just talking about 2 angles and a ratio. So on the surface, it looks like we don't have enough information. It's not the same kind of problem, okay? But the thing that we have to realize is that this vocabulary word, supplementary, actually tells us information, okay? So if we have 2 angles, you may or may not remember that angles that are right next to each other that form a straight angle are actually going to make a 180 degree angle. They're called supplementary angles. Well, one angle is 13 times bigger in relation to the other angle. Now, if you add 13 and 5 together, that's not going to equal 180. So there's a trick that we use for the ACT, and this is why I'm teaching you this, okay? We're going to put an X factor next to these, a mysterious X factor, okay? We don't know what that X factor is, but we do know that if I took the ratio of this angle over this angle, the X's would cancel out, and I'd have 13 over 5. That's the beauty of this trick, okay? So we know that the angle 13x and the angle 5x are going to add up to 180. And then this is a very doable problem, okay? So 13x plus 5x equals 180. That gives me 18x equals 180. I divide by 18 on both sides. And I get x equals 10. Now, once I take that x equals 10, once I have that, that is not the answer. Do you guys understand? That's just that mystery factor that we found. Okay? What we can then do is we can take that 10 and we can plug it back in. So we can take that 10 and plug it in. And we know that 13x, and we can also plug it into the 5x, and 13 times 10 gives us 130, and 5 times 10 gives us 50. And there are our two angles, 130 degrees and 50 degrees. You guys understand the idea there? Okay? So if they give you a ratio and you know other information, you can put x's next to them, and then you can add them up to a total. Okay? And that's how you do that problem. All right? So I'm going to do one more like this, okay? So can you guys turn the page? Okay, I'll put it back there in a second, okay? Okay, so to do this problem, we're going to use the same trick. So the problem's right here. The ratio of fruit juice to water in punch is 5:2. You have 84 ounces of punch. How much of it is water? Well, we're going to do the same thing. That 5 and that 2, we're going to put x's next to the two numbers. And then we know that the total of these two things, the fruit juice and the water, are going to add up to 84 ounces. Does everybody understand the trick there? So we just take whatever that ratio is, and then we put x's next to it, and then we add them up to the total, okay? Then we get 7x, and that's equal to 84. We divide both sides by 7. And our answer is going to be 84 divided by 7, which we'll do right here. And 84 divided by 7 is 12. So x is going to equal 12. And that's 12 ounces of water. No, it's not. Sorry. Once we get that number 12, what do we have to do to figure out how many ounces of each thing there is? You have to plug it back in. So we have to take that 12 and we have to plug it in. So we do 5 times 12. And we do 2 times 12. Well, 2 times 12 is 24. That's the water. So our answer is 24 ounces of water. So do you guys see how this is just slightly different than the ratio ones we did before? When do you know how to do this? How are you going to know when to do this? It's when you're not given the specific amount of one thing, like water or fruit juice or raisins or M&Ms. It's when you're given a total. And when you're given a total is when you do this trick. Do you guys all get the idea? Is that okay? All right, Raheem? What's that? Yes. The reason why I didn't do that is what was the question? The question that you asked was, why did you only multiply the 12 times the 2? Well, I took that 12 and I plugged it in back into the 2x, right? I didn't do it into the 5x because the question asked for how much water was it. Remember, it's in the same order. So fruit juice to water. So this is the fruit juice number. This is the water number. So I didn't plug in there because of the fruit juice. That would have given me the fruit juice. Is that okay? All right. All right, so we are done